And you're welcome back to the Volta's Diary. My name is Vivian Kai Loko. Nathan Kwao is head of research here at Citi FM and Citi TV. He'll be joining me for today's discussion, as well as Akufo-Addo, who heads our features and articles department here at Citi FM and Citi TV. Gentlemen, welcome.
Hi, good afternoon.
Funny enough, today we're all in dark colors, black and blue black. Yeah. It is. All right.
Last time it was blue.
Last time was blue, the Royals. Today, I don't know what it means. But I mean, we're Africans. Black is beautiful. Yeah. How's your weekend, guys?
Good. Exciting.
Exciting. Oh, it was a birthday on Sunday.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, belated happy birthday.
Thank you.
I mean, more blessings, more power,
we had a lot of things
wisdom.
happening on Panorama and things.
Oh, really?
Crikey. That's a story for another day.
Okay, we'll talk about
those details here.
We'll talk about that later. But guys, this week our conversations are around the campaign. I mean, when President Rawlings died, the two major political parties and others, we've had the likes of PNC that have said they won't put on hold campaigning because of the death of the former president. But we've had the likes of the NDC and the MPP putting on hold their campaign activities. Now, they've raised that ban, and now all of them have gone into the last lap, 2 weeks to go, and the campaign has been moved into another level. I mean, this guy goes here, the other follows, this one. It's very interesting. So this week, we'll be looking at the campaign among the two major political parties, how it's panning out, why they are choosing particular locations, what they're saying, and how it's going for them. Also today, the NDP also addressed a press conference on some matters arising. In a bit, we'll look at what they've been saying, and then we'll take it from there. But I want us to start with a few videos. I'll go to the Volta region, start with the Volta region, because the two main contenders have been there already. The NDC's John Mahama has been there. The MPP's Akufo-Addo has been there. And Akufo-Addo went to Hohoi. We'll see why he did that, and then we'll see what John Mahama said as well on the MPP and what Akufo-Addo said as well. So let's start with Akufo-Addo and his the video on his tour of the Volta region.
I want to tell you a little bit about the house that we're trying to build in Ghana. We're trying to build a new house in Ghana. A house where every young Ghanaian, no matter where they are born, no matter whether they are born to a rich family or a poor family, can go to school right up to the university level. That's the building that we're trying to build. And you will study what suits you. If you want to be in vocational school, you can be. If you want to be grammar, you want to be ICT, whatever is in your heart and head, you will have the opportunity to study it and be yourselves and grow yourselves. The house that we're building, money is not going to be an obstacle to going to school. It is not because your father can pay fees that you will go to school. You will be able to go to school whether your father has any money or not. Everybody in Ghana is going to be educated in the new house that we're building. And in this house, if you are unfortunate and you fall ill, you will have access to good health care. Every corner of Ghana is going to have a decent district hospital to care in all 260 districts of our country. We're going to have health facilities for everybody who happens to fall sick. And once again, money is not going to be a barrier to health. We're going to get, at the end, universal health coverage so everybody in Ghana can have access to good health care. When you have finished your education, we'll have an economy that can produce jobs. If you want to be a farmer, there's support from the state to be a farmer. If you want to go into industry, there will be support to go into industry. If you want to work in ICT, you will have the opportunity to express yourself. Every aspect of life in Ghana is going to be organized. And what is it going to be organized for? This house we're building it for you, the young people of Ghana. You are the people who are going to inhabit in this new house that we're building in Ghana.
My brothers and sisters, Ghana is a united country, and all of us are one people. We might be different, speaking different languages, eating different foods, with different cultural practices, but we are one and the same. And governments, as much as possible, must work to bring Ghanaians together and not tear them apart. And so NDC will run an inclusive government that sews Ghanaians together and does not tear them apart. And so let nobody think that you are inferior as a Ghanaian. You are an inferior Ghanaian. We are all equal. We are all the same. And it's only when we come together that we can build a prosperous nation. And so we'll continue the policy of inclusiveness instead of exclusion, because Ghana belongs to all of us. We are peaceful and we don't like violence. And so please, in the elections, let us go about our voting peacefully. But at the same time, let us not let anybody bring violence and attempt to disrupt the election. And so we put your ballot box in your hands. You, the people, must protect your ballot box, because your voice must count in this election. And so if anybody comes and attempts to disrupt the voting process in your community, you have a right to resist him. We will not invest in vigilantes. We don't need invisible forces and Delta forces and Bolga Bulldogs and all those vigilante groups. We trust in the power of the people to be able to make their voices heard. And so on that day, let's go about everything peacefully. There are many other programs that we have which we'll outline in our manifesto. But as you know, I selected my running mate. She's Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. Women have made great strides in our country and have occupied top positions in this country, but have never had the opportunity to occupy the two highest positions. And that is because none of the two major parties has ever fielded a woman as a running mate. This time we have the opportunity, not because she's a woman, but because she's well qualified to be the vice president of this country. And so as she announced, in order to improve the welfare of women, for nurses, teachers, and all public servants, we've increased the period of maternity leave from 3 months to 4 months. Because in the first 3 months, the child is only breastfeeding. In the 4th month, the mother starts supplementary feeding with a little cocoa and all that in order to let the child grow properly. And so that is not the time to ask.
So the two major flag bearers of the two major political parties, both in the Volta region, talking about broad campaign issues. Let me bring in Salom Adonu and Nathan Kwao. Let's start with the message we see them given or putting across to supporters, especially if you look at the Volta region discussions?
Yes. If you notice, broadly, the MPP's message is one that is trying to woo the voters, trying to get more of their support, trying to get people to believe in their message, trying to get a lot more votes. That's really what their campaign is tailored to do or set up to do in the Volta region, because historically the MPP's numbers in the Volta region have been very, very low, and the plan now is to not win the region. That now will take a lot of work.
Impossible.
That's almost impossible, at least now. Will it happen later? Nobody knows. But the plan now is to increase the counts, because Nana Akufo-Addo's count from the last election was about 135, 136,000 compared to 600, almost 650,000 for John Mahama. That's a very wide gap. So now the plan is to close the gap and see if they can win a few seats in places like the new OT region. Because from the last election, the singular seat that the MPP won came from that region. You know, the OT region. So it was 26-1, and that one was in the now OT region. So the plan is to probably increase the counts there and increase the overall performance of the region. So if you listen to the president, you listen to all the things he has said on his trips to the Volta region, and he's taking more than one trip to the Volta region, gone to different places. He's showing that, look, this is what I have done. You historically don't vote for this party, we understand, but look at what we've done in the last 4 years. We are trying to sort your roads out. We are trying to bring development here. We are trying to make things happen. So give us a lot more of the votes, because for the MPP, the plan is to increase the vote count. So that's broadly what the MPP is doing in the Volta region. Now, if you look at the NDC, in contrast, in the same region, they are not talking that much, because they know that by default the region will vote for them. But what they are trying to do is get more people to come out and vote. Because if you study the last election, and if you go through the NDC's own internal discussions, the Kwesi report and all of that, they point to the fact that in some places people did not turn up to vote. People did not show up. And the low turnout was a bit of a problem for them. So the plan is to get more people out there, get them to vote, get them to come out and show more support to the NDC. And the NDC, if you follow their messages, have been picking on several things that have happened in the last year and a half. Voter registration episode, border closure, things that people have said, the secessionist episode, and the fact that, you know, they are just trying to let people know that, look, there is something funny happening. Nobody wants you to vote. They are trying to keep you indoors. Come out and vote and all of that. If you remember, the messages from candidate Mahama during the registration was telling the people in the Volta region, be strong, come out, register, urging people to come out and register, because he knows that if the Volta region shows up and they vote in their numbers, that's something that could help them in the long run to clinch the coming election. So broadly, it's been a matter of telling people to either come out and vote for the NDC, and for the MPP, it is give us more of your votes. You've not been voting for us. We are pleading with you. Show us some more love, show us some more support, and we'll give you more of the development that we've been giving over the last 4 years.
Okay, Salam.
Yeah, so I mean, I think Nathan is injustice to that. When you look at the two messages broadly, the NDC is trying to pick up on what has happened in the recent past. So John Mahama was talking about unity in the sense that there was this talk during the voter registration that some people are trying to divide people and determining who a Ghanaian is and who is not a Ghanaian. The fact that the borders were closed, and even people who were from the Volta region but lived in Togo and etc. could not come. I mean, because the borders were closed, they could not come and vote. That, in essence, is trying to say that they are dividing us. They say we are not Ghanaians, and for whatever reason, that has gone deeply into the minds and hearts of the people in the Volta region. So what Mahama is trying to do is that when I come, I am not going to split us. I'm not going to divide us. I am for unity. We're going to build a system of inclusiveness. He used the terms unity and inclusiveness. And that, in my view, is the reasoning behind that. When you look at Nana Akufo-Addo, he was talking about building a house, building a new house, building a new Ghana, kind of. And in other videos I think we will see later, they talked about trying to marry the voter lady. And so like the suitor, you know, he will knock on the door of the lady till the lady opens the door and till the lady accepts him. That is the talk to the votarians, that since 1992 they have not been voting for the MPP. MPP has been trying very hard, but the lady has been refusing, and he will continue to knock on the door of the voter lady until the lady opens. So until the voter lady opens, he is not going to relent, and that he will do everything as a suitor would do. Take care of her, he'll be caring, he'll be that and that and that. And so that is why he claims that a number of developmental projects and activities have been sent to the region, all in a bid to woo this voter lady who is trying to be stubborn. You know, you know what it means, Vivian. You know, who is trying to be stubborn and that kind of thing. So essentially, that is the broad messaging. Okay. You know, when we drill down to the specifics, we'll see how a few things, you know, are playing out. Okay. But I must also add that the video, the Akufo-Addo video we played, I mean, that particular incident or campaign or speech was given in my hometown. You know, and yes, right? Yes, and that's for, I say so for a reason. There are some key persons the MPP has in the Volta region. Jamesi is one. Jamesi is the Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, and he's from Georgia. Okay. And he's contested that seat a number of times. I think Powers has also contested it once, but it's an NDC seat. Ketu North is an NDC seat. So I'm sure he went there because of Jamesi. And people believe that if you want to increase the votes in the southern part of the region, Ketu North is one of the places because Jamesi is strong. He's been there for a long time. He is strong. And the other part that will play soon is the Hohoi constituency. They see that as the surest way of getting a seat in that part of the region. Of course, they have one seat towards in the OT region, but proper Volta region, they see that as the surest way to get in a seat. Whether it will just be for this election or that will be the catalyst to change the voting makeup or the psyche of Voltarians towards the NPP will be another matter. When you look at the Hohoi constituency, for example, their politics has been dominated for a long time by Amewu, John Peter Amewu, the Minister for Energy. And he's been a key player in this government. He used to be is a municipal chief executive or district chief executive in the area in Kufuor's time. He became the regional chairman of the party and did a lot of work. And even when he was at ASEP, he was the regional chairman of the party. And he was key or critical in the Doomsaw communication and the Doomsaw fight or maybe propaganda, depending on how you look at it. He was in ASEP as executive vice chair or the vice executive director. He was key. The media used, a lot of the people didn't know he was the MPP chairman for the Volta region. They used, I wouldn't say he skewed his analysis, but he made the analysis to benefit him to some extent. So after a while, you know, I think he was moved from the ASEP front because people began seeing through it. And so he was moved from the ASEP front, and then he only focused on the Volta region. So Amewu is key. When you look on the other side, is a professor contesting. A lot of things have been said about the professor. She's also been a DC or so in the area before. But the propaganda about her or against her is that she doesn't really come from the area. Though she's lived in the area, she's done everything in the area. We understand she's helped people in the area, she's a professor, etc. But the propaganda against her is that she doesn't come from the area. So when you listen to the people who talk politics, then MPP side especially, they allude to the fact that they want people from the town to ascend to that seat, and that is the reason why they say so. So the Volta region, though it's a done deal for the NDC, what the MPP is seeking to do is to increase the number of votes they get in the area. And we heard Freddie Blay also talk about the fact that they want 35% of the votes in the area. That is a huge ask. When you look at the records, they've not even gone beyond 15% before. They've never gone beyond 15%. I think the best they have done is 12%, and that was in 2016, and then the election, the year 2000, they did only 12%. So saying that you increase it from that figure to 35% is quite a huge ask.
But what are we seeing them do differently that makes them think that they will be able to penetrate this time around, move to 35%?
Well, they feel they've been on the ground. They feel a number of projects have been done in the area. The Alabanyo hydro generating station, they've cited that, though it's new, and that is still in the Hohoi constituency. They feel that some of these things will endear the MPP to the people. And so Hohoi, for example, the last time, in the last election, John Mahama won by 35,000 votes. MPP Nanado got 6,000 votes. And if you look at the difference, that's quite huge. I'm not sure they'll be seeking to overturn this. That would be such a lofty dream. I'm not sure they'll be seeking to overturn the votes at the presidential level, but they will want to bridge it as much as they can. For the parliamentary, I think they really hope to overturn it, so Amewu gets to become the MP for the area. But what I'm sure the reason why they think they can make the 35% is they think they can have some marginal increases in many of their constituencies. And so when you put all that together, that should
push it up a bit.
But whether that is feasible or not is another matter. That is the projection from the NPP side. Whether they have worked enough on the ground to the satisfaction of some of the people to get them to do as they want is a different ball game altogether.
Okay, let me take you to Hohoe, because it appears to be one of the constituencies that the NPP may make some significant inroads there. John Peter Amewu is for the ticket for the MPP. Let's see how things are going on. The president was there a few days ago. What has he been saying?
What is the progress that the Volta region has seen under the umbrella? Zero, absolutely zero. The 3.5, 4 years of the elephant in the Volta region, already we are seeing the changes that are taking place in the Volta region. The new patriotic party has a blueprint for the development of Ghana. I am determined to marry the Volta region. I am determined to marry the Volta region.
I think the question now is, will the president be able to marry the Volta region? A woman who is deeply in love with another person, which is the NDC for years. And I think the Hohoe is a case study. If the Hohoe daughter decides to marry the NPP in this case, it says a lot with the NDC's hold on that woman that is a Volta region.
Well, you mentioned the Hohoe case, and the Hohoe case is the perfect picture, if you want, to tell you the kind of work the MPP has to do to swing the region. Because, see, in that constituency alone, in the last election, parliamentary, you had the NDC's candidate, Benis Adikuhelo, getting 35,000 votes, and Marlon and Nipa, who contested for the MPP, got 6,000 votes. That's virtually the same numbers we are looking at on the presidential side. That's a huge gap to overturn. So like Solomon is saying, what is the plan? Is the plan to bridge the gap or to win the seat? If it's to win the seat, then they have 29,000 voters to convince between 4 years ago and today to win that election. That is a lot of work. And like I said, looking at the things that have happened in the last year and a half, everything around the Volta region, you do get the sense there will be certain people whose stance on not voting for the MPP will be certainly fortified. Some people will look at the episodes and decide that we will not vote for the MPP. If they had any dreams, those dreams have been killed. And there are some people who will look at that and probably decide for the first time not to vote for the MPP. Of course, there are others who will vote for the MPP, no doubt about that, because of course, free SHS has affected some people in the positive sense. Some people have benefited. So there will be those who will look at a few of these things and decide to vote. As to whether that number will be enough to turn Hohoe over, and by extension the Volta region over, that's a conversation for another day. But you can see what the MPP is doing. You can tell that they've looked at all the seats. They've looked at Hohoe and said that, like Salam said, if there's any seat we can try to win, it is that one. Because they have a minister there. Amewu is energy minister, and he's backed by resource. At least in his scope of work as a minister, he can make things happen. So what do we
but
know?
will they bash to developmental projects,
I cannot,
especially as a strong one? I mean, this will be a test case, but
it will be a test case. Will they budge? I have my doubts that you have 29,000 people to convince. That is a lot of that's a lot of votes to try and win over, and you don't have these switches happening. Such sharp, drastic switches happening over time, especially in strongholds. No matter the situation, you find them still voting for their preferred candidates or going by their default choice. So that's it. That's a lot of work. I like I said, I'll be curious to find out from the NPP what the end game is. Is it to move from 6,000 in 2016 to 10,000 in 2020 or 15,000 in 2020 and gradually build your way upwards, or to try and take the seat away from the NDC, which is a very, very huge task to demand of them in the coming election.
Okay, Salon.
Yes,
that's your home region.
Yeah, that's
Would
my home
your
region.
people agree to marry the MPP that they
I wish it were as simple as that. You know, I'm not sure it's as simple as that. There's a reason why various places are called strongholds. You can't just walk into Bantama or Menchia or Subin or Otapo or somewhere, Suame or someplace, and say because you've constructed the roads, you've built hospitals, you've done a lot of things. You can even bring heaven down to the place. There's a reason why it's a stronghold. It's a mental stronghold. It is what they have known. It is a way of life. And so you don't just change that in a single election cycle. It may happen per chance, but it is not likely to be the case. So yes, it's a difficult ask, really, if you ask me. And I don't know how they will overturn that. I don't know how they intend to do that. I think their best bet is to increase the votes. Okay. The gap was like 29,000. Maybe they can reduce the gap to 15,000. That is doing so well in Hohoi, which is a stronghold of the NDC. The president, in trying to make a case for himself in Hohoi, said a number of things. I mean, very good speech. But you see, sometimes when you are speaking and you get over excited, over zealous, you make certain comments which are not factual. So if you say, for example, that the umbrella party has done zilch or zero for the NDC, that is not true.
For the Volta region.
For the Volta region. That cannot be true. I mean, that cannot be true. So zero means zero. If you say they've not done much for you, that is debatable, that is arguable, that is fine. We can work with that. But to say they've not done anything for you, I don't think it's accurate. They have UHAS, which is a university, medical school, etc. The people, they say they like school, so you have UHAS for them. That is great. There's an aerodrome or airport there for them. Whether it's being in use or not, that is even a campaign message for the NDC that we did it. The people, because they don't like you, they don't want you to use it, without considering the economics of it. But that is propaganda. That is politics. They have that. They have about 8 or 9 of the Mahama E-block schools. They have quite a number of things. So to say they have markets, to say that NDC hasn't done anything or has done zilch or zero for you, when the Sugakobe Government Hospital is there, when a lot of other things are there. I mean, the whole teaching hospital also, I think, was built by Rawlings. And Rawlings is NDC or was NDC. Yeah. You know, that I don't think is accurate. And what that does is that when the people get to hear that, okay, but this man said they did zero, but this one, they did it. You see, it weakens your position in terms of credibility and what you say in the region. I'd have been more comfortable if the president said that they've not done enough for you, so come and follow us. That would have been understandable. But to say that zero, zilch, zero, I don't think it was factual.
Okay, we'll take a quick break, but send your messages. You can send us a message via Facebook or Twitter. Remember to add the hashtag Voters Diary so we can see the message and read them. Or you can send us a message via the WhatsApp number. It's currently on the screens of your TV set. And when we come back, we'll look at why the various political parties, as the two major ones, keep going around certain regions and pushing across certain statements across those regions. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Ghana goes to the polls on December 7th, and Citi TV gets to work. From 6 a.m. on December 7th, bringing you all the action and reports with our correspondents covering all 275 constituencies. Be assured of exhaustive and definitive coverage of Ghana's 2020 presidential and parliamentary elections. Our team of seasoned journalists will dissect the issues and give minute-by-minute account of the election. Bernard Avler, Vivian Kai Loko, Kojo Akoto Boateng, Nathan Kwao, Frema Edunyame, Abena Nyameche Ampedu, Salom Adonu, Umaru Sanda Amadou, Zoe Abubedu, Duke Mensa Opoku, Nana Tufo. The Election Bureau, Ghana's election covered. Coverage starts at 6 a.m. on December 7th on Citi TV and 97.3 Citi FM.
And you're welcome back to the Voters Diary. My name is Vivian Kai. Look, I'm here with Nathan Kwao as well as Salam Adonu. Now, we're going to move from the NDC stronghold, which is the Volta region, that the MPP wants to now take over that woman. And if you notice, the NDC too is also trying to take the MPP's woman, which is the Ashanti region. So how has the flag bearer of the NDC been trying to woo this woman in the Ashanti region? Let's go to ex-President Mahama in the Ashanti region.
I mean, the MPP has been in power for 4 years, and there's absolutely nothing significant they did here in the Ashanti region. And the people are beginning to ask, what have you done for us in 4 years? We give you more than 70% of the votes on every occasion. And yet when you come, I mean, there's virtually nothing to show for the period you are in office. And so they're beginning to analyze, and they see that, you know, their prospects are better under an NDC administration.
So that's ex-President Rawlings in the Ashanti region also trying to make a point about what the MPP has done in its stronghold. Same we're saying with the MPP. Your comments on that?
It's quite interesting seeing that the two candidates are appealing to the various sets of voters and highlighting the fact that they have been taken for granted by the party that supposedly should love them in principle. I find it quite fascinating. Again, if you look at ex-President Mahama's campaign, recently he was at the Menchia Palace to talk to the Ashanti and was highlighting the things he had done for the region when he was in power, highlighted a few things. So it's quite interesting looking at how he's campaigning, pointing to very tangible things and saying that, look, this is a party you don't vote for, but look at what we've done for you. Now, the party you supposedly vote for all the time has not done much, or in his words, significant, or a lot of significant things. So I find that interesting. But again, you look at the NDC's plan, and it's a mirror image of what the MPP is doing in the Volta region. They know that winning Ashanti region is almost off the table. But what can they do? Increase the vote count. And their argument will be based on historical fact. Now, in the years 1996, 2012, no, 96, 2008, 2012, those were years the NDC won the election. And you notice that for the NDC to win the election, apart from winning wherever it is they win all the time, they need to get about 25% and over in the Ashanti region to win. So for the NDC, the plan now is to get that 25%. And you get the sense it is feeding into a lot of the things they are doing. Initially, ex-President Mahama's original plan to go to the Ashanti region was for a 6-day trip. 6 days in one region. In other regions, 2, 3, 4 maximum. But he's doing 6 days in the Ashanti region. This was before former President Rawlings passed on, so that campaign was truncated to a point and he's gone back down. But the original plan was for 6 days. Just tells you how much work the NDC is looking at doing. And they know that if they are targeting that 25%, it will require the presence of the flag bearer himself. His running mate has already been there, let's not forget. And they are hammering on the places they usually win. So Asawase and all these other places they would usually win, and they're also trying to get votes from all across. So I find the posturing of the party quite interesting, knowing that they may not win all 47 seats. All they need 2-3 seats. If they get more, great. But they need their vote count in the Ashanti region to move up to that 25% minimum mark, so that if things work out for them in other places, it could propel them to winning the next election.
Okay. In a bit, Senator, before you come in, we'll pull the campaign route of the two parties prior to them putting on hold for the 1 week's hold on campaigning because of the demise of ex-President Rawlings, and you see that it was a back-to-back movement of the two. So we'll put it up in a bit. But Salom, Ashanti region, NDC trying to penetrate there as well.
Well, the NDC. So the same things we said for the Volta region appears. I mean, mirrors or plays the same way in the Ashanti region. So it's a stronghold. It's a mental stronghold. People don't change behaviors in a day. It takes a long time. So I don't see there don't be any major shifts. Like Nathan said, if NDC makes 25% and above, they get to win the election. In 2016, we had about a 2 million votes target, which worked out to be beyond 25% of the votes in the area. They failed that woefully. They did not even get to
they got 23%. They made even less than 500,000 votes overall.
So they were woeful. They failed big time with that. Okay. So yes, Mahama will try to go there to talk, etc. The difference between the Volta region and the Ashanti is that there are places in the Ashanti region that the NDC wins almost every time. So a place like Asawasi, so we have Muntaka there. We have places like New Edubiasi and Idrisa.
So this is the Mahama's movement so far before they went on break for the demise to the 1 week. Yes, so we can go.
Yes. So I was talking about I just lost my train of thought because I was trying to focus on the map.
So you're highlighting the places where the NDC would usually win.
Yeah. So Section Jumasi and other places. These are areas that with a little push the NDC will win. So Mahama can decide, or the NDC can decide to focus on those areas, maximize those areas, stroll through the other parts and get a few tens or hundreds of votes in addition to what they will already bag. But, when you go to the core areas and the places that the NDC wins are places dominated where there are settlers. So Asawasi, for example, there are people who have come from various places in the northern part of Ghana, etc., and have come to live there, maybe generations, but they've come to live there. Those people often vote for the NDC, even from their origin and wherever, they vote for the NDC. So when they come and meet at a foreign land, in quotes, I mean, they tend to stay true to their roots. They still vote for the NDC. All those other areas that NDC does well have been areas mainly populated by settlers. So that explains why NDC wins some seats in the Ashanti region. So when you go to the traditional areas like the Swami, the Old Tafu, the Mansia, Bantama, and those, and NDC really has no chance. And indeed the NDC, like what the MPP is claiming, the Volta region, also claims to have done quite a number of things in the Ashanti region. There's a military hospital, there's a KJTR market, there's the regional hospital, a lot of things done in that area. That was why in 2016, Mahama in Ashanti region said, that was the reason why he said that, because it's a stronghold. No matter what you do, it will be difficult to have the region turning in your favor. And they know it. So MPP will go there and then give a reinforcement message. So when you heard John Mahama, he said the NDC hasn't really done much. MPP hasn't done much for the place. So in essence, the people must change our voting party. You don't get that easily. It will take a long time. It will take something very drastic for that to happen. And it is not strange that we have the NDC dominating Volta and we have MPP dominating Ashanti. It happens everywhere. When you go to the US, I mean, areas like Texas, for sure, they will vote Republicans. Areas like New York, for sure, they will vote Democrats. And it is no news, really. It is their stronghold. So in the end, they don't really focus much on these areas. They focus on the swing states or the swing areas where anybody could win. So generally, I think that is what we have, and that is what will happen.
Okay. There are a lot of messages from the Ashanti and Volta region on whether the two can make inroads. Daniel from Hohoi, he says the NPP and the Akufo-Addo government are overexcited. I don't know what they have done for the Volta region and Hohoi that they are confident about. Honorable John Peter Amewo should forget about winning the Hohoi seat, you say. Christian in the Ashanti region says the NPP must know that they cannot even get 10% from the current Volta region. assuring you that the NDC will get more than 90% in the Volta region. The NDC is winning this election, JM, all the way you say that. Good afternoon. I believe the MPP is only backing Papa Chair because of what he said in the Ashanti region about development there. JM has done better and a wonderful job in the Volta region. Hohoi's seat is not okay, you say. Then this one says, my name is Brown from Tema. It's quite funny to hear the president say NDC has done zero in the Volta region. Meanwhile, he has done nothing when it comes to the Volta region. By the way, I'm really enjoying and learning from the discussion. Brighton Sunyani says the MPP's share of the Volta region votes is going to reduce further from what they got in previous elections. Most of the MPP votes came from the OT region, which has been carved out. Bertos says Amewu is winning the Hohoi seat come this December 7th. He's done so much. Hashtag Volta for MPP. Good afternoon, comrades. Good job done. The Volta region, as a woman, cannot marry a man, Nana Akufo-Addo, who does not show any love towards them, you say. This is Julius. Prince Henry says, Mr. Amewu can only increase the votes in Hohoi, but can never win the seat. The president should try to commission the whole airport and the whole market before. Okay, I think you made your point about him not being able to win. Hello, Election Bureau. Please, when will you analyze the Jura-Setro-Dumasi constituency? This constituency is quite interesting. The NDC has won the seat 4 times. The MPP has only managed to win it once in 2012. The incumbent MP was the MCE, and the incumbent MCE was the MP, and they are battling for the 2020 elections. Please try to do your analysis on the constituency. Good afternoon, Vivian, and your panel. Thank you for today's program. And to Vivian, you look super beautiful today. Thank you.
I agree.
And then he says, thank you for visiting my constituency. That is the Wali Wali constituency the other time. And my contribution to the program today is to tell the 2 major political parties that is the NDC and the MPP to stop deceiving voters with gifts, because both of them have been tried and tested. So you feel okay. And then let me take a few more and then I'll come back to you guys. Jerome in Hohoi says, good afternoon. When you come to the Volta region, there's nothing going on here in terms of campaign and seeing the people. They don't seem to care about the way, but they are yearning to vote. But for Peter Amewu, the people want to enjoy his money small. He will surely say, okay. And then the final one says, Emmanuel says, Peter Amewu is winning hands down. So quite a divided one, half saying he will win, half saying he will not win. We will definitely be in Hohoi December 7th to see whether the Honorable Peter Amewu will win that seat or whether it will remain to be a stronghold of the NDC. Okay, I think we have a few minutes to go. I'll quickly take Samir Yafi. He's with the president on how campaign has been going. They've moved away from the Volta region, I believe. Where are they and what's the latest on that? Samir Yafi, if you can hear me, welcome to the Voters Diary.
Good afternoon, Vivian. Thank you very much for having me.
How is campaign going with the president? Where are you guys now?
As we speak, we are in Somenya, in the lower Manyakobo constituency in the eastern region. That's where the president is addressing the party supporters and residents here. Now, 2 things the president has been saying. He says that the people here should reject every report or propaganda that when the MPP comes to power, they will definitely sack the people from Kobo, from Eastern land. And that he's telling them that he has been in power for the past 4 years. Such a thing has not happened and it will never happen. The people of Kobo land are people of Ghana. They are residents of Ghana and they are Ghanaians. And there is no government ever that can ask them to leave the land that belongs to them. Secondly, he's been launching a scathing attack on the NDC and its flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama. Now, President Akufo-Addo says former President John Dramani Mahama is the worst manager of the country's economy. When he was president between 2012 and 2016, the country retrogresses. There wasn't any progress in this country. And he's asking why he's asking more Ghanaians to bring the NDC and him, John Mahama, back into the affairs of this country, and that it will be suicidal on the part of Ghanaians to even think of voting John Mahama and the NDC back into office in the 2020 December election. But before we go here, the president started off today's activity from Ebri, where he was at Ebri Girls Senior High School, where he met party supporters and party leaders as well as students of the school. He first of all commended the management of the school for what he says was the excellent result that came out from the WASI results in the school. According to reports, President Akufo-Addo says indications are that the students in that particular school who graduated and who are the free SHS graduates, as he called it, performed very well in the WASI examination. So he commended the teachers and management of the school for making that possible. He also advised the students to take their studies seriously, because this is the only chance they have to make themselves and their family proud by excelling in their education and moving on to the next level of education. From there, the president moved to the Esujamai constituency, to precise Akufo-Addo, where he addressed party supporters and residents there. Now, he told them that this Esujamai seat has been a swing seat since 2000. No one political party can lay claim to that particular seat. Today the NDC wins, tomorrow the MPP wins. Now this time when the president is telling them that even though the seat is currently being occupied by the NDC, they should vote for the party's parliamentary candidate, that's the MPP parliamentary candidate with the name Paul Asare, who happens to be the MPP's parliamentary candidate in the Sujamai constituency. That they should vote for him and vote for him and Akufo-Addo to continue with the massive developmental project or agenda that is currently going on in the country. He's asking residents that if they have seen what he has done in just 4 years, it will be prudent on their part to give him another 4 years to continue with what he has done, or what he described as the MPP having the blueprint to the development of this country. So this is what he's been saying throughout. From the Somania area here, they are heading to Kofodia, where he will wrap up his tour of the eastern region and head to Accra, where he will begin a 2-day tour tomorrow. All
right. Thank you very much, Samiri. If you say Steve, we'll come back to you later in the week. Thank you. We'll go to the NDC's campaign team in a bit to see how things are going. And then after we're done with that, we'll go to the NDP. Today they held a press conference on matters arising. We'll look at that as well. There are a lot of messages coming from you and some others who want us to visit their constituency as well to do our analysis, including Tamale Central and all that. So we've seen all those. We'll look through, and then of course we'll be in your constituency. And then most people saying in the Volta region saying that they will only marry Akufo-Addo if he divorces the Ashanti region. I'm not sure if he will want to do that. He'll probably want to add another wife, which is the Volta region. So you may have to consider that. But guys, let me pick your quick thoughts before we go to the NDC to see how President Mahama is doing over there in his campaign as well. Salom.
Yes, I mean, in terms of the campaign and what's happening, yes, I think it's a home stretch. It's the last, I mean, exactly 2 weeks from today, we should be voting. And so I think the parties are throwing their last at it. When you look at the MPP rhetoric, for example, they're trying to let people know that it's not done yet, and so you don't have to be complacent. Hold
on. Let me quickly. Our time is almost, so let me do this quickly. Let me look. Let's take the NDP's presser this afternoon quickly, and then later we'll go to the NDC's campaign trail.
We understand. We know that was the game of our detractors to seek to scatter this very conference. But thanks to God, you are all here. We read as follows. Ladies and gentlemen, there was an announcement today on Kasapa FM, including Star FM, owned by Dr. Akufo-Addo, a leading member of the National Democratic Congress, that, and I quote, the flag bearer of the National Democratic Party, NDP, Nana Ronalds, has pulled out of the 2020 presidential elections that's CasapaFMOnline.com, has gathered. The story continues. It's believed that the last-minute consideration is linked to the demise of Konadu husband, ex-President Jerry John Rawlings, who passed away 2 weeks ago. Reports say the NDP leader has informed the EC of her decision. Meanwhile, the party is scheduled to address a press conference later today. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, this is fake news in capital letters and should be treated as such. Our leader is grieving and should be allowed to do so in peace. Our presidential candidate has not taken any decision to pull out of the race and has not been in communication with the EC. This is just the latest of the lies that the NDC has heaped on the Rawlingses over the last decade.
So the news just coming in, if you've monitored various media outlets across the country since morning, the news was that the former First Lady, Nana Akufo-Addo Rawlings, was not going to contest again for the presidential elections. News just coming in, she's indeed not announced that she doesn't intend to do that. Interesting coming.
Yes, because in the morning, some of the newspapers were saying that their inside sources had told them that Nana Akufo-Addo was going to walk away from the presidential race. When I read the story initially, I said, well, I mean, looking at everything that had happened, it came across as something that was a possibility. So it's quite interesting hearing the party saying that that is not true, and she's still going to contest. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out for them. To be honest, I did not imagine that the NDP would be organizing a press conference now. Looking at the time we're in, I mean, their flag bearer's husband has passed, who happens to be the former president. I imagine that they would put this to the back burner or maybe give it a little time. But it looks like they want to clear the air.
They had to dispel the rumors.
Yes, and remind all of us that Nana Akufo-Addo will still be on that ballot paper come December 7th.
Well, very well. I don't think the press conference was quite necessary, if you ask me. Of course, they have the right to do anything, giving or knowing or seeing everything happening. Former president, husband of the flag bearer, is passed on, etc. And there's a whole tussle over his legacy, which people are qualified to talk about and which people are not qualified to talk about it, etc. I did not see that the press conference, in the manner it came across, was in the best interest of the legacy of Rawlings. I say so because, I mean, they could have issued a press statement to state that it's not true that the lady is opted out of the race, she's still in the race, she's still fighting, blah, 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 and that would have done it. But given the kinds of things they said at the press conference today, as if that rumor was fueled by the NDC, which is like their biggest opponent, rather than the MPP, because you're an opposition party, and normally the trend is the opposition parties come together to fight the ruling party because it is the place you want to be. The whole press conference appeared to me as if it was orchestrated to hit back at the NDC for the Rawlings legacy, etc. And I asked myself, when I saw the promotional material for the press conference today, that what is the locus of the NDP speaking about the demise of Rawlings in the manner they are doing? Rawlings was not a member of the NDP. Rawlings was not, as far as I know, a founder of the NDP. Rawlings, before he died, was a founder, or the founder, they make us believe, of the NDC. And as far as we know, he had not abdicated or vacated the role of NDC founder. And the Constitution doesn't allow him to have his 2 feet in 2 different parties in terms of founding them. So I wasn't sure about the locus. Of course, you could argue that they are people who will rent a part of Rawlings's ideals and legacies, and so will speak in that manner. I thought that if Nana Akufo-Addo had something to say about how her husband's legacy is being talked about, etc., she could, in an unprecedented fashion maybe, address a press conference herself or the family. But I didn't see the relationship between NDP and the NDC. I'm sorry, and Rawlings' legacy. They are worlds apart. The fact that he was husband to the founder and flag bearer of the NDP doesn't even, it doesn't count for me. It doesn't count. They are two different persons. They are opponents as far as the politics of our country is concerned. And for me, the NDP and Nana Akufo-Addo should be careful about what they are bequeathing to their children. you have Zanatok standing for elections on the ticket of the NDC in Klote. I don't know what Kimati Rawlings will want to do. There are talks about certain discussion ongoing to push into the Volta region to run in maybe next election or two on the ticket of the NDC, not NDPU. So I think the least she can do now that her husband is not around, and to help the future of her children, to preserve the legacy of her husband, is to tone down and let the love for the family and the children grow, so that the children can, if they want, improve upon their father's legacy, take the NDC at some point and run with it, because maybe it's begun from their house, for the want of a better phrase.
Okay, let's go to wrap up with the NDC and see how their campaign is going. Ni Aikwe Okine is with the ex-president Mahama. Ni, are you welcome? What can you tell us? How is your campaign going? Hello, Nia, can you hear me? I'm sure there's a lot of noise from the campaign. Nia, if you can hear me, welcome to the Voters Diary. Okay, I'm sure Nia cannot hear us, but we still continue. Yes, Nia, what can you tell us? Where is ex-president Mahama now? How is campaign going?
Okay, so Vivian, the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Mahama, is currently at Wajana within the Pusiga constituency of the Upper East region. Okay. And he's addressing a mini rally here and then focusing on the key policies of the NDC as part of their plans to, win power in the 2016 election. Some of the key policies they intend to implement when they win power. So part of these policies are the revision of the small-scale mining activities, and then also he says that the construction of the Baku road that have been abandoned by them. We haven't had the communication from the team yet.
Okay,
so
that's
we just
fine.
follow them, and then when we get to the destination,
then you know.
we do
right.
the rally or the engagement with the people.
Okay, stay safe, and we'll talk to you again. Guys, we have to wrap up now. Thank you so much. Nathan Kwao heads our research team here, and Salama Dono heads our articles and features department here. My name is Vivian Kai Loco. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll return tomorrow at 3. Bye-bye.